be having a different conversation as to concerns, that we may be having as President Trump goes ahead with this deportation, exercise. But like I said, that's going to be shelved for another conversation. Mussa, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
Mussa, I trust you're well.
I'm doing very well, thank you. Yourself?
Well, the Lord is my shepherd. Aside from being, being down this morning, looking at the behavior of members of parliament we refer to as honorable members. Mussa, you tell me, how would you describe the scenes from yesterday's, vetting process?
Thank you very much for having me. I mean, I watched the scene yesterday, and it was shocking. Shocking in the sense that, you can disagree and have some altercations and walk out of the room peacefully, boycotting it, without embarking on the kind of actions we saw some of the members take yesterday, to the extent of damaging public assets, damaging equipment, just so that the vetting cannot go on. This should not be allowed. Anybody involved in that act must see himself as a dishonorable member of parliament. And indeed, they brought the image of parliament into disrepute. This is the worst we've seen. Far worse than what we saw in the on the eve, when Bagum was being elected as speaker. This is worse.
Mussa, I hear you clearly say that what they could have done, one out of the options they have, one of the options was for them to have boycotted or walked away. But you could hear clearly in the altercation that was going on and the comments that were being passed that you thought we'll walk away, you thought we'll boycott this. We will not. Would that tell you that they wanted to really create a chaos and that they succeeded at doing that?
Absolutely. I don't know, maybe they fear that.
Please go ahead. No. All right, so I think unfortunately we lost Mussa Dankwah there on the phone lines. And so after all this had happened, we had, Hassan Ayariga speak. And we want to share that with you. But do we have Mussa Dankwah back on the line? Yes, I think we do. So Mussa, we lost you briefly there. You were saying that for you, the fact that some of the members of parliament were saying that they were not going to walk away or boycott it, it meant that they meant to create chaos, right?
Absolutely. And I think it stems from the fact that they felt that the additional names that were added were not supposed to be part of the list. And indeed, if that was the case, that is very unfortunate, because the leadership must agree who should be vetted on that day. They shouldn't be springing any surprise to the minority. They have some bit of concern, a bit of right there, absolutely. We can't deny them the fact that they were sprung a surprise. But that should not warrant the kind of behavior we saw yesterday.
Tell me, how did we get here? Because if you look at the likes of previous members of parliament, the ET Mensahs, the JH Mensahs and co., we never witnessed any such, things. So how did we really get here? Where would have some member of parliament grab, ballot papers and run away in parliament? Where we see members of parliament marching in parliament, as if they were moving to their classrooms? Where we see chairs placed on tables being broken, microphones being destroyed. How did we get here?
It is the quality of people we send to parliament. Period. People who don't see things in a perspective that is really civil and that's really has decorum. I will not behave like that in any situation, no matter how provoked I am. And when you are working with the public service, it demands the most and the highest level of behavior. Look, the whole world was watching us. And these guys were involved in absolute madness. Are you proud to be a Ghanaian this morning? No. Are you proud to have the person as your MP? No. And look, some of this would affect these MPs going forward in the future. Trust me.
You talk about the quality.
The behavior of Khalifa Ahinkra had on him in the constituency. It played part in him not even contesting. So these guys must be very, very careful. They must behave as honorable ministers or honorable MPs. Now, on what basis would you drag somebody to Parliament for contempt of Parliament, for showing disrespect to Parliament, when you yourself have not shown respect to the public, to the people, I mean to yourself?
So, Musa, again, I heard you mention the quality of Parliament we have. How can we do better? How can we get the right quality in Parliament?
It is when we the people, decide that we don't want mediocrity in Parliament, and that the parties give us the chance to take part in who become their candidates even in their primaries. They should broaden or open up their primary selection process to include members of their party far bigger than the delegate system. The delegate system is creating this problem. Few will go and buy votes and win to become parliamentarians. You are in constituency, you are guaranteed a seat. That must cease. That is contributing to the level of mediocrity we have in Parliament.
So earlier we activated the phone lines, Musa,
yes.
And then we had a couple of people calling. One of them called and said he, is a teacher, and that he had encouraged his students to watch the vetting process. Then this happens on television. What impact? What are we communicating to these young ones as to what transpires or happens in Parliament? What are they communicating to these young ones?
Very important, and I'm very hopeful and pleading to the teacher to expose this kind of attitude of these MPs to this case for them to understand, because we are going to hold these parliamentarians with a high standard going forward. And if you watch, the younger voters we have now behave differently. They are less politically aligned, very independent-minded. If these guys don't behave, believe me, they will be out of Parliament.
Musa, please hold the line for me. I've been joined also on the phone lines by Kukwa Sante, who is our parliamentary correspondent.